Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast by Interlinked. For those of you who are new, Interlinked is a podcast initiative by the Center of New Economic Studies at the OP Jindal Global University, where we hold conversations with the professionals and scholars on various topics ranging from economic to social issues. Today, we are going to talk about something which is very personal and especially important for one's well being. We will onboard a train and in the journey see how college students face mental health challenges and how it's not due to the exam pressure but also caused by the earnest desire to have a good social life and get that perfect job. We are calling it the exam social job triangle. And we have a very special guest amongst us to address this challenge. I welcome Dr. Vaishali Miglani, Team Lead Psychiatrist in Sukoon on campus at the OP Jindal Global University, whose work involves helping the college students going through mental health challenges and support them at every step of their recovery journey. Welcome to the show, Dr. Miglani. Now, before we begin, I would like to ask first, how are you feeling today, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Path, for having me here. This is a very important conversation, and I'm really glad that you are taking the initiative to do this and we are talking to an audience about the topics that matter. And therefore, I'm feeling very great and I'm feeling very excited about what we're going to talk next.
That is so nice to hear, ma'am. And before we move forward with the podcast, there is a small reflection that I wish to tell you. And so, back when I was in my 12th grade, during the recess time, every one of my peers and my friends were sitting in the class, and we were all discussing, talking. There was a total chaos. And as you are in school, so people tend to use foul languages, they tend to make comments on each other. And it was similar situation was going on. And suddenly, one of the student in the class stands up, covers both of his ears with both of his hand, and yell at a very loud pace. And then he says that you guys keep on doing this, you keep on saying things to each other, and he immediately left the room. Back then, we thought that it was very weird of him to act in this way. We made fun of him, and we did not care or think about that situation much. But now that I realize that episode was not just how he reacted, but there was something which was attached prior to it. There was some reason and some childhood trauma, maybe, that was attached to his such behavior. I feel that many a times we have this personality or the mentality which are formed in our childhood, and we carry it not even just to the schools but to the college and universities as well. Do you think, in general, the students who you talk to have these, what challenges do they face, and do they have these built up trauma from their past?
I think this is a very broad question that you are asking, and I would split it. Okay. So, I will start by telling how anyone's personality is shaped. Okay.
Hmm.
So, like everyone has different physical bodies. Someone's tall, someone's short, someone's light skinned, someone's dark skinned. Similarly, we all have different psychological makeup or mental makeup, right? Now, how that forms is one is genetic or internal inherent factors that one brings with them. Okay. Second is the environment that they grow in, their childhood. What was their schooling like? Was there any bullying in
Hmm.
school or not? What was their parental home like? Was there conflict there or not? Did they suffer any kind of abuse or trauma there or not? Was it a healthy environment or not? So it is nature, what they bring with them, plus nurture, how they are shaped. That is what their personality is. That is how they will respond to situations, how they will react to situation. For example, the example that you have quoted from your personal
Yeah.
experience, it could have
Yeah.
been that that person might have experienced situations of heightened conflict, anxiety, and loud noises during arguments in at any point in their life, and therefore they could not deal with that particular moment or that particular situation. So
Hmm.
definitely, yes, I will say yes to your question, wherein the past childhood memories or traumas, good and bad both, will shape how you are in your adult
Hmm.
life. It can all be traced back to the childhood.
And do the college students that come to seek your help at the center, do they
Yes.
carry these when you talk to them, or do you have seen such instances or examples?
Yes, yes, I see a lot of them honestly. And when I say, um, you know, it is anyone whose life is shaped like that. It's not restricted to college students. Any person, when they grow up, will have their traces back in the childhood. So it will automatically translate to college students also. And when I see students here, yes, there's a lot of, their parents had conflict, so therefore that now bleeds into their relationships of how their attachment patterns are formed.
Hmm.
Children at that very tender age internalize a lot of things. So if there's stress in the environment also, they will
Hmm.
internalize that and they will carry it with them, and then that will resurface when it is their exams, when it is their relationship or breakups or any kind of stressful situations. It will
Hmm.
reflect, it will resurface at that time.
Yes, ma'am, that was quite insightful. And now, if we specifically go to the college students and set the stage for today's podcast, so there's this small data that I have inculcated that during the
Mm.
past years, there have been so many suicides that have been happening in these college
Mm.
premises, and especially Kota, which is India's such a famous coaching capital where people go to become to go into IITs and AIMS, and there we have seen like 26 deaths over in 2023 alone. So
Mm.
now you see the position where you are at, and as someone who works directly inside a college campus, do you think we are getting fundamentally wrong when we talk about mental health of college students in India?
This, first of all, it's so sad to hear about this.
Mm.
If we compare this data to the global standards, India itself is considered as a suicide capital now.
Yeah,
Then, if we talk about the age groups, then it is the highest among young students.
yeah.
Right, like if we talk about occupation, say it's highest among farmers. If we talk about the socio-demographics related to age, it is highest among the young students. And so the NCRB data, which last came in 23, over the past decade, this decade, it is the highest. So we
Mm.
are, one is there is something fundamentally wrong, and it also reflects that we are heading in the wrong direction, that the train
Hmm.
that we are in is going somewhere in a dark direction. um then so when I talk about something being fundamentally wrong, I will say it still exists at two levels. One is the systemic level. One is the larger operational level of how universities function, of how education functions in India, right? Second, I will also talk about the individuals. So one is the systemic system that they come in, and the second is the individual that is coming in that system. I think we're flawed at both the levels right now.
Hmm.
Okay, it's no good that we just blame the system, and it's no good that we just blame the individual. I think it is both the areas that we need to work on. So if I elaborate on that, say in AIMS or in medical institutes, um, the system is very rigid, right?
Yeah.
And the system is too structured that it does not let the individual breathe, and that it does not give any
Hmm.
space to the individual. For example, what happens in medical institutes is that there is this bond that they have to serve, that after they complete their medical degree for 3 years, so say they do their MBBS for 6 years and then they do their MD for 3 years, then they have to serve a bond in the rural
Hmm.
places. And if you do not serve that bond, then you'll have to pay, say, 10 or 20 lakhs sum of money. So that is an institutional flaw. That is a systemic flaw. Because we want
Hmm.
people to serve in the rural backgrounds, we are not giving them an option. It's like we're binding them to it. We're not giving them the choice. That creates immense pressure. This is, say, one example of institutional level flaw or systemic flaw. If I talk about individuals, then see. your age group, you young people, um, and what happens at this age is there's so much energy, there's so many
Hmm.
ideas, but there's very less direction and very less clarity, right? It
Hmm.
is the whole world seems a possibility, but you don't know how to access it, right? Plus what is happening, so that is the nature of this age, those are the characteristics of this age. What is happening wrong, I believe, right now is the way society is designed. So we have created this instant and digital world with
Yeah.
the um way we have designed society right now. We're not letting young people develop any patience. We are not letting young people develop any resilience. And then
Hmm.
everyone has the audacity to say that Gen Z is a weaker generation. But how have we designed this generation? How have we structured the society? Blinkit is 10 minutes away. They don't have to work for anything. So the way they're developing is that they do not get any situations, and they do not get any place to develop a patience skill set and to develop that resilient skill set. So when they do not receive what they want, they crash,
Yeah.
right? It's like I am so habituated to get what I want in an instant. If I do not get something, if something requires patience and struggle, say it is your job, say it is your career, I cannot
Hmm.
uphold, I cannot maintain that level of struggle because I'm not wired for it. I don't have the habit for it, right? And brain is
Hmm.
habit. I tell you, brain is habit. So
Yeah.
when people tell me that this younger generation don't have the patience, then I tell them that the parenting that we are doing and the way we are structuring things for them, we have not given them the chance to develop it. And now
Yeah.
we are coming and saying the outcome does not exist. We did not give them a process. So now we're saying the outcome is not there. That is another reason that everything external becomes too difficult for their internal
Hmm.
makeup. They feel very small that how will I handle this? How will I handle that? Eventually, the problem seems so big that they feel that the best way to deal with them is just to kill themselves, to just get
Hmm.
away with the situation. So I think it is a flaw at multiple levels, and it is something
Yeah.
fundamentally wrong, definitely.
So essentially, the institution are structured in certain way that they are institutionally structurizing so much pressure on the college students,
Yes,
as
yes,
well as
yes.
personally and an individually level. When we talk about, there is so
Right.
much impatience that has built up in this new
Yes,
generation,
yes,
technology,
yes.
and everything. We are just unaware of how to tackle with these problems. And
Right.
actually, that is a very relevant problem in this current scenario, which brings us to the like a follow-up to this that when like the college students, when we talk about exam pressure, social pressure from friend circles or home, and the career anxiety to get placed or to do an LLM for a good institute, like these are separate conversations. However, but do you think in your clinical experience or like in your experience, do students face all of these issues together or are they separate?
So it can be both.
Hmm.
It depends that
Hmm.
someone might be, it's a situational and coincidental thing, right? Someone might be going through a relationship issue or a breakup, and then exams also come simultaneously. So it is that
Yeah.
sometimes they do go through all of these things together. Sometimes it could be different areas of their life that are impacted, because the age again is such that everything is happening all at once, and it's this immense pressure to figure things out. Otherwise, the train will leave. So yes, it can happen all at once.
So how do you recommend one should deal so that all the three problems doesn't come simultaneously at oneself? Like how should be
Hmm.
the approach of the students toward these problems?
Hmm. So the approach definitely we can have a look at, but we can't decide that these problems don't come at the same time. I wish
Yeah.
we all had a magical wand for that, right? But what we
Yeah.
can decide is our response and how do we react to these things that are happening around us.
Huh.
So, say regarding the academics or the careers, I will say that another problem we are facing is that India is a very populous place and a place with people of high intellect also. So what happens is the competition naturally grows so much. Say if X person in India was there in some other country or outside, they would have with very less struggle achieved what they would have wanted to achieve. But
Hmm.
here the struggle becomes exponential because there's so much competition around and everyone is
Yeah.
intelligent.
Hmm.
So again, that's say something you can't control, right? But what
Hmm.
you can control is that, and this is something I teach, all the people who come here to me, that there is a reason that you're selecting something. There is a reason you want a certain job. There is a reason you want certain kind of a college. The reason
Hmm.
at the end of the day is always, I will be happy once I get this. I will feel content once I get this. If I have this much amount of money, I will have certain security or I will have certain content or happiness.
Yeah.
So the end goals, if you see, are always these untangible things: success, happiness, content, peace, security. These are the end goals always. It is the means. Getting into Jindal is a means for the end goal. Getting
Hmm.
a job is a means for an end goal. What we tend to do is that we occupy ourselves so much with the process and the means that we lose sight of the end goal. And we trouble
Hmm.
ourselves in the process itself. So the very thing that we want to achieve that eludes us. Right? In
Hmm.
order to be happy, we'll become so stressed and we'll become so, um, you know, occupied with just what is the CGPA, which college will I get, what will happen. So I also want you guys to understand that if you have enough trust and faith in yourself, that whatever will happen, I figure something or the other out. That not getting a particular CGP or not getting this particular job does not mean the end of the world. It was just a means. If this means don't it doesn't exist, I'll find another means, right? So
Yeah.
the gap between how I want things to play out versus how things are playing out causes us misery, right?
Yeah, but I also feel
Yes.
in this is not like apart from one's individual's desire to get certain thing, there is also this performance anxiety to show others. Like if you have scored well, suppose in your year one, then there is this performance anxiety that you
Right.
have to consistently perform. Or you have that expectations from your parents that you have to fulfill, that they're investing so much on you and you have the need to reciprocate. Then
Correct.
this becomes more
Yes, it's a
problematic.
very valid problem. And now this
Hmm.
problem also stems from the conditioning we get in the society, the conditioning that we
Hmm.
get from the parents, that this is what success looks like. Success means getting a particular CGPA. Success means getting this. If you get this, then you will be validated by your peers. If you will get this, then you'll be validated by your
Yeah.
parents, right? If not, you're not good enough. If you're not
Hmm.
excelling in this, you don't matter as much. People will not call you for parties. People will not eye you a certain way, right? So then again, the concept of individuality comes. How early can you sense the matrix?
Hmm.
How early can you sense the trap? Because it is a trap at the end of the day. I'm not
Hmm.
saying that you don't need to do well, but
Hmm.
the need to do well should not stem from the fact that I will not be validated, or
Yeah.
if you have to do well, you do well. But what happens is that people and students your age, you tie your self-esteem to your achievements. That if I don't get this, then I'm not worthy. That is a
Hmm.
problem. That should not be the case. You're still worthy, right? This is something you can or cannot do. That may or may not happen. But again, it is again a societal problem at large. If you still want to work on it, you will have to decondition yourself a lot. And that takes time.
Hmm.
It's a gradual
Yeah.
process.
It's difficult also.
It is difficult because you're still
Hmm.
surviving in the same system with the same people. When 10 people around you are saying the same thing, your voice will get numbed automatically. You will start to believe those things automatically. So it is very difficult.
Hmm. Yeah. And also like when all of these challenges are faced by students and by us. And it's not, I think, it's not just limited to the psychological distress which manifests in our head. It's also measurable by physical symptoms. Like we
Right.
feel chest tightness before our exams, or we see a lot of hair fall during placement, or that awful anxiety which comes and which causes us not to sleep. The heart
Right.
pounds so much. So the question is basically, how do we teach the young people to tell the difference between the ordinary stress and something that their body is generally asking them to stop and address? Like, what's
Mhm.
the threshold to understand it's just a normal stress and it's just something which is calling us physical distress now, and now you need to reflect and address this.
I think that is an excellent question, and I want people to understand this because that becomes a marker of when they seek help. Are they seeking help at the
Hmm.
right time or are they being too late? Right? So, first of all, we need to understand the mind and body is connected. So, anything impacting the mind will automatically fall on the body, whether that's hair fall, whether that's acne, whether that
Hmm.
is, palpitations, sweating, inability to give a presentation or talk to people, social anxiety. So, the biggest marker is dysfunction. Are these symptoms leading to any dysfunction or impairment in any area of my life? Is the palpitations or the chest discomfort significant enough that it's not letting me sleep? Is it pronounced that I can feel it and I cannot give my exam? Is it troubling me in any way? Is it causing me distress? Are those symptoms prominent that they are impairing my day-to-day activities, impairing my academics, impairing my
Hmm.
relationships? Anytime you see that the dysfunction is coming in, the impairment is setting in, that means it is significant enough for you to seek help. If
Hmm.
you're getting trouble with your sleep, it is significant, right? Even if it is happening, say, 5 days, 1 week, it has happened, it is significant. Don't consider it a phase. Second thing I also want people to understand is, especially young people to understand, is the day and age they live in, stress is inevitable. Stress will
Hmm.
happen. You cannot avoid stress. And the second thing is, no one teaches you how to deal with stress. There are no books
Yeah,
in school. There are no courses in school like you have for your, how to use technology, how to do law. No one teaches you socio-emotional skills. So stress will be there and no one has taught you. So go seek help because there you will learn, right? I always say that seeking mental health support or therapy, it is just like going to the gym for the
yes,
mind. So you would go, anyone would want a healthy diet, anyone would want good nutrition, and they will go to the
true.
gym as a
Yeah.
prophylactic measure, as a
Hmm.
measure to prevent any illness, as a measure to not get diabetic, as a measure to not be hypertensive. So why not this? Why do we have to wait for a certain time? Anytime the thought pops up in your head is the time you go.
Hmm.
Okay?
And while now we know that, understand that when do we seek help, could you, in very briefly, explain how do we deal with stress also? Like, we understand we don't know it. We are aware that we are unaware, but how do we like absorb it and like deal with it?
Right. So I'll split this into the acute stress and the chronic stress that you guys go through.
Hmm.
So if I'm talking about the acute stress, say you're having anxiety or panic after a triggering situation, how to deal with that when your heart is pounding, when you're not able to see clearly, when you can't stand properly, when you're sweating, when you can't speak, that kind of acute anxiety and acute stressful situation. In those kind of situations, you can try doing grounding exercises, you can try doing relaxation exercises, you can try doing
Hmm.
breathing exercises, right? If they don't suffice, you can immediately get medical help also, right? That is how you deal with the acute situation. How to not let things get to this situation or how to deal with chronic stress is, again, having some wind down time for yourself to not constantly be in the loop of productivity, to have a recreational, some recreational activities in your day. So just a healthy balance of work and play. Maintaining your diet, maintaining your nutrition. If I talk about nutrition, you'll see that people who are low on vitamin D or people who are low on vitamin
Hmm.
B12 will have more pronounced effects of anxiety, will have lesser capability to deal with the stressful situation. So when you're asking me how do I deal with stress, is first you take care of your body, first you take care of your sleep, first you take care of your
Hmm.
nutrition, first you have enough artillery to go to the war, right? Your body should be capable to deal with anything.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you guys are not sleeping on time, you guys are not taking your meals, so then it becomes difficult to deal with stress also. So this is the foundation. The basics have to be there. Sleep and nutrition has to be there. Then daily engagement in any kind of relaxation ritual. Whether you go to play tennis, whether you hang out with your friends, whether you do meditation, or you listen to music for half an hour, or you take a long shower, it is up to you. But daily rituals or engagement in something that grounds you, that brings you back your peace, is also extremely
Very
important.
important. Hmm.
Yes, it's very important. And then just the basic understanding of breathing and grounding exercises.
Yeah.
So even the medications I give, I there are studies that tell that breathing exercises are more effective than those medications, but it's difficult to do and
Hmm.
popping a pill is easier,
Easier.
right?
Yeah.
So have those practices in place.
So as we this discuss, I think we at college as college students, apart from consuming good meals or having good sleep, what we are definitely consuming is the social media every day and quite chronically, which is causing a lot of trouble to our mental health. I feel for that we see the perfect picture that has been created by our peers. They are traveling to certain places, they are with their cool friends, and they are doing the perfect internships. So, how do you think we should tackle the social media? Is it a complete no for our mental health, or there's lies some balance also that we can that we as an habit can attach to social use of social media?
Um, I will not say that, you should entirely stop using it or doing it. Therefore, if there's a balance, that is definitely the best, right? Anything in excess is bad. It in moderation, it can, be fine. But
Hmm.
there are two things I want to mention about social media. Two things that are highlighting for me here is one, I want to talk about mindfulness, and two, I want to talk about comparison, right?
Hmm.
So even with the previous question that we were talking about, and I was asking you to indulge in relaxation practices and a wind down ritual, was because that is the time we get mindful. What happens with social media is the opposite of mindfulness, because it's this automatic scrolling that we are doing, and we forget the number of ideas, the amount of information that we are inculcating, and that is getting stored in our mind, that is getting stored in our subconscious, which is going to trouble us later, right? Things we did not need to know, now we know. There's a Just imagine a student with restricted information, did not know the possibility of what their future can look like, was carving out their own dream. But now with social media, they know there is a transformational coach that exists. There's a billionaire on a yacht that exists. There's a real estate agent who is claiming that they made it big in 6 months. And now we don't
Hmm.
know the realistic situation. We know people are here to sell. People are selling on social media,
Yeah.
but when we are consuming it, we forget that they're selling. We feel it is their life story, and if it can happen for
Hmm.
them, it'll happen for us also. So we also set certain standards for ourselves, and we are swayed by the social media. We are swayed by someone else's boyfriend is bringing flowers. They're planning these big dates. Someone else's parents are giving them, a Lamborghini. So again, it's not being mindful. One, it is getting swayed and getting into that comparative mindset, because what I have is not good enough, because there is something better that exists out there. There'll always be something better that exists, and there'll always also be something worse that exists. People are
Hmm.
also in war situations.
True.
So we forget that we are grateful to have a roof over our head and to have proper meals. We will forget that. But we will remember the Lamborghini and the guy getting flowers, right? So
Yeah.
that perspective shifts, that grounding shifts. So it's very
Yeah.
important that you be mindful when you are consuming social media, that you do
Yeah.
it for a particular amount of time. You are also very cautious of what kind of content you are watching, because the way these
Hmm.
algorithms are designed, they are designed to make you addictive. Imagine
Hmm.
there's an industry out there that is preying on you. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I think it's the mindset that you take in when you consume social media. Like, you have to remember where the information is coming from, and it's this the
Right.
perfect picture of there and not the
Right. Like you
reality.
are also using social media right now.
Hmm.
I mean, you will use it after this, right? This
Yeah.
podcast will go on some social media, right? Some form of media
Yes.
it is going to go on. So that is a good way of using it.
Yeah.
Someone say I have my friends who talk about mental health on social media. That's a good way of using it. Someone is upskilling their business on social media. You have that opportunity to do it. So that's a good way again. So again, just be
Hmm.
mindful of how you are using it
Yeah.
and how much you are using it.
Yeah. True. And so, as we move ahead in the podcast, now we go to a little critical about therapy. So there's this published, like we'll talk about, there's this journal called British Journal of Psychiatry, and it is a 2022 study which found that sometimes people undergo therapy for a significant number of people, and they do not find any meaningful long-term improvement. And the socio-economic factors like financial stress or house instability,
Mhm.
uncertainty, they keep on increasing and they keep on affecting their mental health. So,
Mm.
what can therapy realistically offer a student who is anxious because they genuinely cannot afford to fail, or they have, or is that there is a risk that by routine students like who are going to therapy, that institution quietly absorb themselves of making any structural changes? Like we discussed in the beginning, that there are structures in the institution and they are just not willing to make any changes. So, and how do you think therapy then can help?
So I think what we've done wrong here is we have quoted only one study and a negative study.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because um, this conversation is also going to have big impact, right? Then I know therapy is a big, big tool and it can change people's lives, right? Seeking help can change people's lives. So, while we may have fears and apprehensions about when it will do that for us, how it will do that for us, what expenses that will incur for us, I don't want those to be the deciding factors. I want them to be factors that you do include, but I don't want them to be isolated decision makers in the choice of getting therapy or not getting therapy. Second is, I will not claim that 100% people will have the best experience.
Yeah.
When they go to seek help, they might have bad experiences also. But what I want to say is that I do not want those negative experiences to shape their perspective of therapy, for them to lose
Hmm.
faith in the practice itself, that it did not work out for my friend, so it will not work out for me also. And
Hmm.
why do I like waste my money on it, right? Then we have to also understand, and I'm being very realistic about situations. I don't want to paint a rosy picture for anyone, and I want to everyone to have, an objective truth of what it looks like. So there's a thing called therapist matching also. Are you and your therapist able to form that rapport and have that therapeutic relationship that you can work on,
Hmm.
right? Are you willing to work on yourself? Are you doing the homework that your therapist is giving you or not? Your efforts will also be directly proportional to the amount of improvement that you see. Now, this
Hmm.
is just therapy. If I talk about medications, if I talk about people who come to me, see, mental health is a long game. It's not this instant journey. It's not like an infection that you get and take antibiotics for 5 days. Sorry, it does not work like that. There is no quick fix. For anyone out there
True.
looking for a miracle, for anyone out there seeing ads on Instagram claiming that they have this anxiety program and in one workshop everything is going to be okay. I am sorry, that does not exist. It is a
Hmm.
long game. It is a game wherein you have to be patient, and improvement is far more gradual than, say, other things, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym and building your body. You cannot do that unless you take steroids and, like do other things. So you can pop certain pills and be addicted on certain things, then you can fake, some improvement. But otherwise, it is a time-taking process. Therapist matching is something that is to be taken care of. Your efforts are directly proportional. Then your then your psychosocial circumstances matter a lot, that despite taking therapy, say some legal battle is going on, some financial battle is going on, or in your household you have an ongoing discord with your spouse, then despite therapy you will not feel good because that stressor is not going away from your life. That
Yeah.
also matters. So again, therapy is also not a magical fix. What it teaches you is how can you best deal, like no one teaches us the social emotional skills. It will teach you how
Hmm.
to deal with stressors. It will teach you to be more resilient so that when the next problem comes, you are better prepared.
Hmm. It facilitates your future
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
correct. It helps you live your better version. It makes you
Hmm.
hack your personal best.
Yeah.
That is
It
what it
makes you
does.
prepared.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think that is a very insightful statement of how therapy is not the only solution, but if you combine that with your own efforts, it makes you live your life way better than you
Right.
might without therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is one aspect. This is for people who are going through problems, but say for people who have dealt with trauma, right?
Hmm.
Say for people who have dealt with difficult situations, for them it's a very good healing environment and a very good healing space.
Hmm.
It is a space wherein they get a holding environment. Imagine someone who is crashing, who is in shambles, who is not able to pick themselves up. So therapy also
Hmm.
provides that healing for that person. Therapy also integrates that person back together. It pieces them
Yeah.
back together. So that is something really instrumental and helpful.
Life changing must be.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is what is transformative.
Yeah. I'm sure it also helped save a lot of lives of people who are on the
Definitely.
brink of losing their
Yes,
life and
yes,
giving up.
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. And now, as we come to the end of this very engaging, insightful, and helpful discussion, this is last question which I want to ask to end this on a positive note, that we talked about how students can do and help and what students can do to help with their mental health. But the other question now is, what should colleges or faculty or the parents be doing differently, like concretely and not aspirationally, so that they could
Hmm.
reduce the volume of pressure that that is feeding this triangle that we just discussed? Because if the answer is only ever students need to be more resilient,
Hmm.
are we not just talking or asking people to carry more weight rather than putting less weight on the shelf?
That is partially correct, right? An
Hmm.
individual definitely has to hold 100% of the responsibility of their life, but we
Hmm.
have to facilitate the environment for them to at least be
Hmm.
better, right? So we can't expect that we'll put roadblocks, but you do your best, right? So, and I'm telling you from my experience, what I've seen is that younger generation is far more open and flexible and willing to work on things, but it's the older generation that sometimes I find,
Hmm.
because they're more set in their ways. For example, with parents, what we find difficulty in, it's a big problem that they are just unable to understand that this will cause problem to their child.
Hmm.
For example, they will not understand that anything in the peer dynamics can be significantly stressful for their child. Anything related to academics can be so significantly stressful for their child because they are like, we also did this. In our time, it would not cause us stress. We would manage it. We would deal with it. Carry on. No need for therapy. Sometimes I've seen that parents dissuade their children from therapy and medications when they absolutely need it.
Yeah.
And that is really disheartening. So, what I what they can do is at least be open and flexible, that that generation was different, this generation is entirely different. You did not have to deal with the stressors of social media, of your identity, of what clothes you are wearing, of how you are being perceived. You did not have that identity crisis going on around you at the same time, as much as your children are getting to do it, as
Hmm.
much as stress your children are in, right? So just being more compassionate and more understanding and empathetic of the concerns that the children might be having is a big help, right? And
Hmm.
then encouraging them to be in therapy, because half the times they have their own stigma that therapy will do something bad or medications will do something bad. So while you have your apprehensions, talk to them and talk to the experts about it, understand about it first, then make a decision of yes or no. Do
Hmm.
not, without understanding and without having discussions with the experts, tell your child to not engage in it. That is not the correct
Yeah.
approach. This is one very concrete thing I think they can do, right?
Hmm.
Then with the universities, I think, and I will say this, that I think Jindal is still a university which recognizes the need,
Yeah.
right? You do not have a setup like this anywhere else. You will not get a psychiatrist anywhere else. You maximum will have psychologists, right? In universities, a full-time psychiatrist you won't even have. The kind of facilities that people are now recognizing that students need, I think that is a good start. For example, the last time we had relaxations with the attendance policy, that is a very good
Hmm.
step. Now, with any kind of help or relaxation being provided, there is always a possibility of exploitation of that relaxation, which I very well
True.
see day in and day out. But I would rather have that than have someone who needs it and does not get it,
Yeah.
right? I would rather not have some person who will lose their scholarship because of attendance or missing their exam. I would rather want to help them, even if two or three students who don't need it get it, because I can see, how students approach this place sometimes.
Hmm.
So again, recognizing these kind of requirements and making policy level changes. So this is still a private university. Government institutes are far more, structured and set in their ways. So I think this is a discussion, this is a larger discussion of what the higher education in India needs to be like,
Yeah.
and what policy level changes do we need to make. For example,
Yeah.
you have the disability certification here, right? Not every
Yes.
university allows that. Not every university will give you extra hour or, anything like that. So maybe these kind of things can be standardized.
And I think we have these University Grant Commission mandatory guidelines also in
UGC
2026
guidelines.
itself.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
which asks for establishing mental health and well-being centers in
yes.
these universities to facilitate this
Yes,
process.
yes, yes. So again, with this guidelines, you go through these guidelines, but these are, say, a bit vague. For example, what should be the
Hmm.
ratio of a psychologist or a psychiatrist per the student population? These kind of
Hmm.
norms should be defined so that there's
Hmm.
adequate manpower, right?
Hmm.
Imagine, say, it is 10,000 students and it's one psychologist per 2,000 or 1,000 people, then that is still not enough. So these guidelines also need to be well formulated and very specific. I think these
Hmm.
are a bit vague, but again, it's the first time everyone is starting
It's,
and doing this. So everyone will learn along the way.
so it's
But what
first
is
step.
important is we have these conversations so that those changes can be implemented.
Hmm. And at least those who are not aware becomes aware of it, because
Right.
taking therapy is another thing and being aware of it is quite different, that how it
Right.
can drastically affect help them and
Right.
help them. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. This we were able to take up a lot of concepts, a lot of knowledge, information, and understand mental health better, especially in the context of college students. And I hope with this conversations to those who are watching us would be able to, even if get some knowledge of it, that would mean a lot, I think, to Sukoon as well and to our initiative as well, because this was our final motto of this conversation. And if you have any last parting words that you wish to share with the audience before we end today's discussion.
To all the young people watching and to all the students dealing with academics, careers, jobs, relationships, friends, parents, it seems sometimes that you guys have a lot on your plate, right? But what I would urge is that the answer is never external or never outward. It is always internal.
Yeah.
And whenever required, please seek the support and learn the skills. So, life is also something you have to learn and live with your skill set. The more skills that you acquire, the better life you can do, right? And I'm not talking just about the skills of, okay, I do another course, right, in AI, or I do another course in, say, law. Not that, but the course of how do I maintain relationships, the course of how do I build my routine the best, how do I anchor myself the best, how do I deal with my stress the best. This is what
Mm.
you guys definitely need to learn, because at the heart of any kind of success will be your mental health. If you do not feel mentally healthy, you'll not be able to enjoy any kind of achievements, even. So, I cannot stress enough how important mental health is for you and the attention that you need to give it. Because we are young, we feel like I look at it later. There's more to do right now. I should focus on my career, because if I don't focus on my career now, then what else? But if you don't focus on this, then nothing else exists, right?
Yeah,
So please
true.
keep that in mind. And it's very fixable and manageable, I tell you, once you start to
Yeah.
learn about it.
Yeah, I think
That's
that is very important for especially college students like us to remember, like to understand and know the importance. And that's with that we come to an end of this discussion and this podcast. And we at Interlink would like to thank you so much, Dr. Vaishali Miglani, again for joining us and bringing and taking some time out of your so busy schedule and being with us. And I hope all the people who are watching us and who watched us till the end got some good information from this podcast. And we assure you that we will keep coming back with these initiatives, hopefully again with Sukoon on more interesting and engaging topics. And this was it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining.